Hey y'all, what's up? We're back on Off the Script with Sasha Johnson. Back here to talk to you guys. Sorry, I gotta sit up. I'm always trying to slouch, y'all. Michael trying to get me together already back there. But it's amazing to be back. Y'all see I'm here without my sister Nicole today, so shout out to her. She's working hard, but she's sending some love from work, okay? Now I have these amazing people here with me today that I love, some of my favorite people in the world. I have Gil and Renee Beavers here with Rich Relationships Refuge. Look, I'm gonna get it together. I'm gonna get it together today, okay? Y'all, I told me it's hot in here. I feel like I'm having hot flashes and everything, but I'm good. We gonna get this together, okay? But before I get into too many questions, one of the things I wanted to know, because I feel like in order to understand a union, you got to know the individuality. So I want you both to tell me just a little bit about you individually, because I think I got the union part down pack a little bit. Right. So I guess, Gil, I think you're always quiet. I want you to go first.
It's funny that you say that because Renee always says I'm the quiet one until we start talking about relationships. But Gil Beavers, we've been married 34 years coming up here. But as an individual, I'm a retired military, Air Force. Woohoo, go Air Force. For those who are out there, almost 30 years now with the government. So between my military time and actually working for the Air Force, I'm an IT nerd by trade, so always got to have stuff out there with us. We're originally from Detroit, grew up on the east side of Detroit, and actually migrated all over the country through the military. So I think I was our stop number 13, where we're in Alabama right now. We drove up for the show, so we thank you for coming, letting us come and hang out with you guys here today.
Of course, anytime.
So those 13 years, those 13 moves, we ended up here. So I'm a father of one. And just in love with the wife.
I love that. In love after 32 years is what you said?
34 years.
34.
It'll be this year, December. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
amazing.
Yes.
That is amazing.
She makes it easy.
Now, I bet she does. First of all, she's beautiful as I don't know what.
Yeah, so. I guess I'll keep her.
So Renee, now I met Renee first,
yes.
You guys. And it's so crazy how time goes by, because me and Renee probably met,
It was in 2015 or 2016.
Okay, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And I was buying her book.
Yes.
I'll never forget at an event. It was an amazing event,
Mm-hmm.
and never would have thought that we would rekindle like this all these years later. Later, so tell people a little bit about you.
I am from Detroit, Michigan. Woo woo. Detroit against everybody. Even if Lions lose, I'm still a Lion fan. I want to say that openly and publicly.
Okay.
But I'm from Detroit. I was born and raised there. I'm the oldest child of three. My mom was killed by a serial killer. My dad died he died when I was 11. My stepdad died of cancer right before my mom died, who got murdered. Wow. So I had a very tragic childhood.
Wow.
And for me, relationships have always been very important to me. I met Gil when I was 14. I pursued him, ladies.
Oh.
That's a whole nother story.
We're going to talk more about that in a minute, okay?
Story. Right,
okay.
Right.
Did you get down on one knee too?
No.
But getting on the knee was involved, but we'll tell you that story.
Yeah. But I guess for me, I think it's important to know the backstory. I didn't grow up with two parents. I didn't grow up having straight A's or, having access to a lot. I grew up in a lot of, dysfunction and poverty. But I think for me, I realized that I had to make choices based on what I wanted. We have one daughter. I've been pregnant once, had one baby, and we adopted my two little sisters. My mom got killed because they were 9 and 10 when she got killed. And, and even when me and Gil were dating, I told him, I said, if anything ever happens to my mom, I'm the oldest, so that's my responsibility. Absolutely. And even then, he was like, I can get with that, So I started off giving ultimatums.
Okay.
And so didn't know I was doing that, but just, so I went from high school to cosmetology school, loved doing hair. I built businesses in the United States and overseas, went to different cities and started from scratch, building a business over and over and over again.
Oh, wow.
So customer service, working with customers, building businesses has been my background. And we moved to Alabama, and I guess after 28 years or so, the Lord was like, okay, you did what you wanted to do. Now I want you to do what I'm called you to do. And so we went into me writing books and than doing television and radio and, doing the podcast and just different ways. Things you never know where your path is going to take you, but you just have to be open to the process of life. And so I'm now we're, working with couples, which is really just what we love to do, and helping other small businesses really understand that passion is great, but you got to pursue your purpose.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's who I am. I'm 55 and I
And look like
I
you're
love
22.
life. And I'm a plant-based consumer. I have a certification in plant-based nutrition. That's one of the things that was a result of health issues. So I teach people how to use food as medicine. And so that's who I am.
I love it.
And what you see is what you get. I don't have another side.
I love it. I love it. It's amazing. Your story is so amazing because there are people that come from, those 2-parent households that don't even understand relationships, and here you are, an expert at something that you didn't even have growing up, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really truly
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So now that you've shared all that with us, how did that? And I'm sure early on it was very challenging for you guys to try to figure out how to unionize this situation. Your background and your background coming together. How did that work? How did you guys meet?
It started with a pencil being rolled off of the desk. I know it sounds crazy, but
Well, it started with a summer job that I didn't want to take.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you tell the summer job part first.
My godfather wanted me to get a summer job,
In Detroit.
and I never wanted to work for people. Even as a young teenager, I'm like, I can work for my uncle. I work for my uncle's business. I don't want to work for someone else. And my godfather made me go get a job with the city of Detroit, and we were in a classroom setting, and Gil walked into the room, and I was like, oh, he is beautiful.
At the time, we were 13 and 14.
But he had a mustache already, y'all.
Really?
At 14, Gil had a
wow.
mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, how do I get his attention? What can I do? And from the time I saw him to the time he walked up to me, I had devised a plan to get his attention. And so I pushed my pencil off the desk, and then I act like I was going to bend over to get it. And he,
And I stopped and picked up the pencil and just handed it back to her, because I was kind of like on that one knee type proposal type position.
wow.
Not that I was proposing at 14, but handed it back to her, and then she said,
I was going to say hi to you, but I wasn't sure if you would say hi back.
Oh.
and then I said, I always say hi to lovely young ladies.
And I was smitten, and I have loved him since I was 14.
I would like to say I had game back then,
Oh,
but
is
I don't
that
know
right?
if that's what it's called. I just threw that out there because this beautiful girl was talking to me, and I didn't know what to say, so I just reached into the bag, and that's what came out.
But we
it was
both
authentic.
watched a lot of television, and I think that has a lot to do with
All
some of the things
dramatic,
that we
yeah.
kind of acted
So
out.
you
things
guys
that
were doing those fairy tales.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
we were.
We were
We
pretend.
were.
Yeah, we were in our own show.
We were.
So I heard the story of Gil, I believe, breaking up with you at some point.
Oh,
Yes.
And I want you guys to
Oh,
tell
my
them
gosh.
about that, because I thought that was pretty interesting. How in the world can you break up this fine thing right here?
Well, it was during that same time frame. So it was at the end of the program, and we were sitting there, and then it was kind of like at the end of the cycle that we had these weeks of study, and it was this classroom environment. And I lived on the east side of Detroit, Renee lived on the west side of Detroit. So and it was weird because even at a young age, I was kind of a loyal guy to her if I had a girlfriend at the time. So I basically came to her and said, you know what, the end of the summer, you going back to your side of town, I'm gonna go back to my side of town, I'm gonna go back to my school.
Now, how
you go
far
back to
was
your-"
this from each other?
It was literally, for us, it seemed like miles and miles, but I would say it was about a good 10 to 15 miles. And so if you think about catching a bus in Detroit, we didn't have the best infrastructure at that time
Right.
frame. So it was like worlds apart, really.
Yeah.
So, and then I didn't
Yeah,
have
the
a
west
car.
side and the east side are worlds apart.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. 13 and 14 years old. So I said, you know what, go over to you may want to date other guys, and I may want to date other girls, and I don't want to feel like I'm cheating on you. So I think we should break up. And little did I know, she could cuss, yo. And she just started, she let me have it up one side, right down the other. This is before we became believers and all that kind of stuff. But, so she just cussed me out, and I was like,
I did.
okay, that was not good. So she cussed me out. We actually kind of went our separate ways over the next couple years, really. You know, we still called and talked to each other periodically, you know.
No,
but
I didn't talk to you.
See, I was trying to be nice.
No, tell the truth. I didn't talk
Right,
to
so,
you.
well, at least in my mind, I thought you did. But she just kicked me to the curb, basically, in other words. So, and then we actually ran into each other years later. You know, she was working at a mall. I was working at a mall. Oh, no, she was working at the mall, and I was just happened to be in the mall. And I seen her, and I'm with one of my best friends, and I said, you know what? I know her. And she was like, and he was telling me, like, nah, you think you know everybody. You know, you got to impress your boys and all this kind of stuff. So I just walked up to her, and I said, hey, Renee. And she kind of looked at me, took a step back and looked at me like she didn't know me. And I'm like, hold up. You know, this is the same pushing the pencil off the table type stuff. But she didn't know me then. And I said, Gil. And she's like, oh.
She had to forgot about you.
Yeah, she did.
Well, let's tell the truth now. He had a long tail like Prince. That was
Now this is Prince Day,
that was
so
blonde.
put it in time frame.
Blonde.
Yeah, it was a
Blonde,
little tail.
and he had Jerry curl.
He had to have the Jerry curl at that time.
And he was
Everybody
dressed like Miami Vice.
Okay.
did. All that was in at the time.
Yeah, I mean, he looked really cool, but
I need to see this picture.
No,
I have it.
no, you don't. No, you don't.
I need to see it. Oh my God.
It was fresh.
And I really didn't remember him until because Gil had all these little sayings, and one of his sayings was a whata whata whata.
Yeah, no, that sounds.
And so he said, you know,
You
Gil,
said
a
sounds
whata whata whata.
does
I was
that
like,
mean?
I
Gil?
have no idea. You know, I'm living in my own world. Who knows?
I said, oh, okay. So then as soon as he said that, I instantly remember,
Oh yeah, here's
This
that
is
corny
him.
dude. Yeah.
you know, and so
And then we started dating. You know, and then we became friends. And that was so important because that's where we really established just being friends. She was a female, I was a guy, but we still were just friends. You know, we weren't. I think I even had a girlfriend.
You
at
had
the
a
time.
girlfriend. That's
And-
why we were just
but
friends.
But see, that's the difference is I could have a girlfriend and still be honorable. You know, I didn't want to cheat on her, but I told her about it. I have a female friend. I can have a female friend, and we just enjoyed each other's company. you
But I
know.
told him I said, I'm glad your girlfriend lets me be your friend, but you're not going to have, I wouldn't let a female be a friend to you knowing that she likes you because I liked him. And I said, did your girlfriend know that I like you? I mean, I was always
Yeah.
honest. I'm like, did she know I like you? And but his girlfriend they weren't compatible, you know. And as a friend, I would just tell him, if I was your friend, I wouldn't let you have a friend that somebody liked you.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
see, I was still from the mindset of, yeah, I can still be friends with you and not be trying to be romantic with you and try to, that kind of thing. So even with my girlfriend, I'm not going to let anybody control me still. You know, I still had a mind and still had friends. I'm not going to kind of isolate myself away from her because somebody else feels uncomfortable. So we still were just friends and we would just go to the movies and hang out and stuff like that. So we just really developed a friendship.
And I tried to be romantic with him. I tried to push up on him.
She was being fast. You know,
I
she being
was.
fast.
And he would say, you know, I have a girlfriend. I'm like, but like I said, if
You were strong.
I was strong. I was strong.
he was strong. He was strong. And they did eventually break up. And when they broke up, I realized, I'm like, this guy really does have, I didn't know what integrity was, but I was like, he's different. You know, he really wants to be my friend. He wouldn't, things that I know other guys would have just taken advantage of, he didn't. You know,
wow.
so looking back on it now, and it's funny how you have to evaluate your experiences. When I look back on it now, I'm like, he was amazing back then.
And how old were you at this time?
I would say I was about 18 or 19 when we
Wow.
were dating around that time frame. Early, I hadn't hit 20 because I hadn't joined the military. I joined the military when I was 21. I actually turned 21 at the police academy in the Air Force. So I was still 18
Yeah,
or 19.
we
at the
started
time.
really dating for real when we were 18. I was 18. You were about to turn 19.
Yep.
And I look, and I just told him this morning. I said, your mom would be so proud of the man that you are because his mom and dad got divorced when they were
example.
like 7
Oh,
or
wow.
8. And so he didn't have that example.
That
but
male example,
so
yeah.
when people say, well, I didn't have that. And, you know, everything is a choice.
Exactly.
And regardless to whatever you've experienced, you have to choose what you want and not allow what you've experienced to dictate who you become because it's not just your environment, it's your choices. Everything is a choice. And so I just look at what we went through because people look at where you are and they don't know all the things you had to go through. And so it hasn't been easy and it hasn't been effortless. It's been things we've had to do consciously to make this happen. And so it's not just, you know, it's not a fairy tale. It's work.
Wow. And so only thing I could think about as you guys are talking is, he had a background, you had a background, and then you guys are coming together. You know how a lot of people jump into these relationships before they find themselves?
Yes.
Do you feel like you guys did that, or do you guys feel like y'all had found yourselves before you got into this relationship?
Yeah. I think that some people naturally are inquisitive about themselves, self-awareness. I think that some people do that earlier than others, and I think that the more time you spend trying to get to know you and who you are and what you like and what you don't. And like I said, we were 21 when we got married. And so while we spent a lot of time, he was in the military, so he'd have to be away, I have to be away. So we did have to take that inward journey, maybe not consciously, like now we tell people, do you like yourself? Do you know yourself? But we didn't know that. But looking back on it, we were doing that.
Right.
Without even really being taught that, or just, because I think we're both very inquisitive people and we both love human behavior. So we're always looking at, why do I do that? And why did that make me feel that way? So I just have always asked a lot of questions.
And I think for myself, I think I knew myself as far as what I wanted to achieve and accomplish. I had always set kind of goals for myself individually as far as career wise and things like that. But I really didn't have it established for a relationship. When I look back at it, I just knew I wanted someone who was honorable, someone who respected me and that I could trust and those types of things. I looked at the character traits that she had. And as I look back on it, she displayed all of that right then and there. So for myself, I knew what I was looking for, even if I hadn't pinpointed it and identified it. I just knew this is someone that had those traits that I liked,
Yeah. Wow. Now you going back to this pursuing him, because a lot of women don't believe in pursuing men, or and things like that. So what do you think
I would
about
say I didn't pursue him. I initiated.
that? Okay.
Because I think that there's a difference. I think that he should pursue you, but I think that sometimes women don't give the man the green light to initiate. Because sometimes I think that women are naturally more mature than men. I said, so if you know that, why not give him the green light? Let him know you're available. Because a lot of I did hair for 28 years, so I have had 28 years of case studies of women's behaviors. And I think that sometimes women don't realize that they got a red light. They're walking around with a red light. Stay away. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. But then when guys don't approach them, they don't understand that it's okay to let him know you think he's cute. It's okay to do that. And people say, well, you did that when you were young. So that's all the more reason why you should do it as an adult.
Exactly. You should know.
If I did it at 14, I knew what I liked. But just imagine if I would have not acted on what I was attracted to, And so I think, a lot of times we miss out on what's for us because we have all these things in our brain that, because sometimes we can be hard, and I think the way you look can be sometimes a hindrance because people see you looking together and it makes them feel like they're not enough. And so we feed into that by, giving them, now I do that now because I'm married, but women do that when they're single. And I think it makes it harder for men to approach them.
And I think even Renee, she really didn't pursue me. Like she said, I never got that feeling. I think it was one of attraction. Obviously, you're going to be visually attracted to the person first because you don't know anything about them. So she gave me the opportunity to see where this may go. So when she pushed that pencil off the table, I took the opportunity to say, maybe this is something there. She obviously gave me the green light that she's interested in me. So it can't get no easier than that. She teed it up for me. So all I got to do is respond in a way that can make this turn into something else. And she's always done that. I think over the years that we've been together, we still pursue each other, as far as it's a mutual exchange of kind of letting each other know, hey, I'm still interested.
Okay. So now you guys been together 34 years. What do you guys think about this gender role situation in marriage? Do you feel like the man should be cutting the grass and this and this and that, and the woman should be cleaning the house? What do you guys think about this scenario?
Me to go first?
I'll start it out because
they sitting on ready.
Yeah,
okay?
because I think about even our roles, and we talk about this even with couples with roles and expectations and standards and all those types of things. And one thing that my mom taught me when I was growing up, she said, I'm going to teach you how not to need a woman. Not need a woman to be there to make me complete, but as far as to cook and to clean and to take care of myself and do those things that are domestically that sometimes men neglect over time. And I remember a scenario that she actually taught me how to wash my own clothes when I was 8 years old. Because I told her one day, I said, I don't like the way you wash my clothes. She's like, oh, you know what? Well, I'm going to teach you how to wash your clothes. So she taught me those things as far as domestically, how to take care of myself. So even now in our roles,
He still don't let me wash his clothes.
to this day, but I also but I also do
Look,
dishes.
I wouldn't want to anyway, so go
Yeah,
ahead.
but I also, and she don't,
No,
but that's a whole nother
I
story.
didn't want to do my own laundry.
I know that's right.
But I do dishes and I can cook and all those things.
And he can
so
braid
there's,
hair and
You
because
can
we had a
braid
daughter.
hair?
Yeah, I have a daughter. You know, you got to be able to do those things in case something happens with
I
Renee.
wish you could just say that to all the men that they got to know how to do hair, right?
You should. You should. I say you should.
If you have a
because you don't want
daughter.
your daughter going out there looking all crazy. But so
Yeah.
that's even one of those kind of things as far as expectations. You're not expected to do it, but I wanted to do it because it made us well rounded as a family. It's about us partnering in. It's a partnership. It's not if you're better at balancing the checkbook than I am, then guess what? You should do it because it's Team Beavers. You know, it's Team Renee and Gil. So it's going to make our whole family better off.
yeah. And while I do ride our tractor now to cut the grass, that's not something that, so we don't really feel like, we feel that you have to decide in your own family dynamics
What
what
works
works
for you.
best for you.
Absolutely.
There is no such thing as a man should do this, a woman should do this.
Absolutely.
Because if you like to cook and she like to cut the grass, you should alternate.
Absolutely.
You have to work it within your own relationship.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
So now, you guys, I've seen it, me being a therapist, I've seen a lot of turmoil in our Black community when it comes to relationships and marriage and things of that sort. Why do you guys think that the divorce rate for the African American community is so high?
You want me to answer first?
You can start, yeah.
Well, one, I think it goes back to having role models and examples. Number two, I think that so many people who do have successful relationships, they don't share the behind the scenes. They don't share what they're doing that makes their relationship work. We tell people what not to do and what they shouldn't do, but we don't share with them the healthy habits that we have because we don't realize that sharing that will give them the tools that they need. And I think a big part of it is that most people now, they don't. You have people who are good listeners, and the better you listen and follow instruction, the better your life is. We have more people who have to learn from experience, and I think experience is such a hard teacher. If you could be a good listener, you can learn from people sharing things with you because we're in the information age. The information is out there, but are you going to apply it? So I think the divorce rate is in our family so much more because we didn't have those examples, and it's easier for us to use, the past and our framework as an excuse for relationships to fail.
You know, Renee kind of summed it up as far as for me, as you asked that question, I thought about what was the examples that I had, to look at it. We jokingly at the beginning of this
Cosby.
start talking about, we said television, we living out this drama. So I had to get role models that I can see because hearing somebody tell you to do something and being able to see it walked out in everyday life is totally different. And I didn't have that opportunity to have it in my own household. So I gleaned it from what I seen on television. I seen traits that I liked, whether it was the Cosby Show or to the Brady Bunch, whatever it was that I seen a male in the household with a wife and their family, and he's demonstrating things as far as taking care and being responsible and kind of leading his children. Those examples that I took, and I think as a Black man growing up, I didn't have that in my own household. Thank God he put other role models around me, men that I could see, whether it was in my school or family friends. I looked at them and I watched them and I studied them and I said, you know what? I see how this person is carrying themselves with their family. I don't know why and I don't know how, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to mimic that thing. And then once I started mimicking it, God started showing me things about me that I either need to work on or things that I needed to perpetuate even our own relationships. And it just happened to work out to a point of understanding between each other that I can carry myself in a manner that's going to be honorable and respectful in our relationship. So to go back to your original question, as far as I think that is a part that plays a role in the Black community as far as why we don't see those things.
Wow.
And I think pride is a big thing.
Yeah.
Pride and being private.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want anybody to know we're struggling. But when we separate, everyone knows.
Yes.
And so I think it's important that we have people that we can go to and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this." You know, everybody needs help. We have examples and models and mentors that we go to, and we ask. I don't have. If I see you doing something right, I'm gonna come and ask you, "Hey, could you tell me how to do that?"
Exactly.
Versus me trying to figure it out on my own. And so I think a part of it is, and I think that's why rich relationships is so different for us, because we're like, call us. When we say that, we're really not just saying it. We really mean it, because sometimes you need somebody to talk to. Sometimes you need more than a podcast or an episode. You need someone to physically walk alongside you. And so I think that the more we are open to the idea that we don't have to have it all figured out, and we realize that we can go to other people to learn from it, then I think it would help. And I think that if we could normalize loving God and needing therapy, I think that we would be
A whole lot
so much
better
better
off.
off.
Oh,
Because everybody needs help. Everyone
Absolutely.
needs help.
Absolutely. And so you guys, in relationship, they always talk about there's ups and downs. How many times do y'all hear that?
Oh
all
my
the time,
gosh.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of times when we're working with our couples on a
Right.
regular basis.
Yeah.
So the downs, what were they like for you guys, and how did you guys get through them?
The first one that comes to mind, had been married for about, I would say, between 5 and 7 years, and we were in the military, and we were stationed. I even forget where we were stationed. We were anyway. A mission
We're in
came
Michigan.
up. We were stationed someplace, and a job came up. A mission came up for me to go to, but this one I had an option. I could either stay or I could go, and I came to Renee and I said, "This is what I told her." I said, a mission came up. I think it was like 30 days or something like that, and it's making X amount of per diem money, because at the time we were so broke, we just did things like that for money, because we obviously it helps your bank account. And Renee looked at me and just said, "Go," because we had hit that low point. We had hit a point where we were just coexisting.
We were just parents.
We were just going through the motion. We had our daughter. We had the two little sisters living with us, and we were in our early 20s. We were less than 25 years old now. And we got 3 kids, a 7, an 8-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Oh wow.
And for me at that time, I was like, "Go, I'm gone." I wanted to check out just as much as she probably wanted me to leave. And we weren't at a hostile towards each other. We weren't mad at each other. But I think our relationship with God came into play for me, because I rededicated my life, and things started showing up as far as, well, you need to work on this and you need to work on that. And that's when the lines of communication, that's how we got over it. The lines of communication got restored because we weren't physically in each other's presence. But we had to talk to each other. We had to communicate. We had to listen to each other. I had to see things from her perspective. She had to see things from my perspective. And I think that was so significant in us getting past those low points, that it was instrumental. And that's something that we have just adopted in our relationship to this very day, that we practice on the regular, as they say.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And I think a part of it is understanding that relationships are going to have good and bad, highs and lows. And if you only focus on the negative, you're going to only see the negative. And so I don't have this expectation is, oh, every day is going to be great and I'm going to love everything about him and he's going to just, no. I think sometimes we have very unrealistic, we have very unrealistic expectations, and then we put that on the other person and we blame them. But really do I have realistic expectations? Do I realize that, oh my gosh, he's human. He's not going to complete me. He's not going to validate me. That's not his role. And so I think that if we would approach it with a more sober view and realize that this person has needs just like I do, that it makes the lows less traumatizing.
Yeah.
I think we make them longer because we're only thinking about it from our perspective. It's like, well, if I feel like this, well, how are you feeling? How is this making you feel? Well, what are you going through? Because I think with life and military and moving around and having parents die and kids go the opposite direction of what you there's lots of ways that we could allow it. There's so many things that could have destroyed our marriage, but we chose to make our commitment to each other the priority. And so good or bad, highs or lows, marriage to us is forever.
Absolutely.
Because we always said at the very beginning, if I got your back and you got my back, you don't have to look out for yourself. And I don't have to look out for myself, because I have someone looking out for me, and she has someone looking out for her. So that's where that alliance comes alongside. It's a partnership. And once we know we doing that with each other, it just makes it a lot easier. And I think that's something that couples can glean from. Look out for the other person more than yourself, then you don't have to worry about yourself because you got somebody looking out for you.
Awesome. So I love what you guys are doing and willing to share with people in
Yes.
order to help them in their relationships with rich relationships. Now, they go around in this mobile
The RV,
RV
Richie.
guys.
Yeah, Richie.
And they provide basically therapy, couples therapy. And it's really, really amazing. But all I've been thinking this whole time is, you know how people say, I can't work with my spouse. You guys work with each other.
We do.
Live with each
and
other. I
live
work
with
from
each
home.
other.
Yeah,
We
I work
do.
from home.
How in the world are y'all doing that without frustration? I mean, I'm sure you
Yeah.
have some,
Yeah.
but you know, you just hear a lot of people say, "I just can't do that. I just can't work with my husband. I can't work with my wife." You know,
Yeah.
how is
I,
that weird?
I think the pandemic showed us so much about the way we are wired. And while Gil and I are the opposites, I'm an extrovert, he's an introvert. I'm talkative, he's quiet. At the core of who we are, we're the same person.
Oh wow.
We both are hardworking. We're both loyal. We're both committed. And so we just focus on, and we drive each other crazy. But we realize that's a part of a coin has two sides. I don't expect for him to agree with everything I say because he's not going to. And so I think the reason why we can work together because I leverage his strengths. You know, I've learned so much about being a good listener because he's a good listener. I'm not a good listener. But I realize, I'm like, if I look at what he has, and instead of seeing it as a negative, I see it as something that I need. I think that's what makes the difference is because we are, like I say, we're not the same. But I realize that we're together because I don't have everything I need. So a relationship, the people in your life bring something that you need, and you have to see it as a positive thing versus they get on my nerves. They not like me. You want everybody to be like you.
No.
You're not going to grow and
right.
change. And so I think that some people can't work together because they've not worked out things within themselves.
Absolutely.
And I think it comes back to the control side. I only have control of me. Renee only has control of her. And I also allow her to be herself. I allow her to do the things that she does because it helps me and vice versa. We complement each other because we all have strengths and weaknesses. You know, we call them growth areas
And strengths.
because you can turn a weakness into a growth area if you work on it. And so I allow her to do those things that help me get better in the areas that I'm needing growth in. So, and we allow each other the compromise of knowing and separate spaces. We got our own offices at the house. So we also got to have that, you know, you got to have your time apart, but also I look at the things that she does for us as a group, as a partnership. And she knows that I'm working just as hard for her. So when we look at that, it gives us the ideals that I'm going to focus on us as a team and you have to focus on us as a team. And it just makes it a whole lot easier to work together on a daily basis.
And to talk about stuff because I realized something about me. I don't work well with groups of people
Oh.
because I work harder than 7 people. So I'm hard to work with because my
Yeah.
pace is so nonstop. And for me, I don't talk when I work. I don't eat.
I literally have to
don't-
tell her to get up.
I don't eat. I don't pee.
From the computer.
I can sit and be still. And for me,
hours.
I
Sounds
realize
familiar.
I feel so. For me, when I'm working with somebody and they want to talk, I'm like, you know, that gets on my nerves.
Yes.
You know. And so I told him, I said, you know what I realized about me? I don't like when people talk when they work, and that's why I had a hard time in the salon setting. Because I'm like, stop talking. You're not working.
Focus on
You know,
your client,
but
yeah.
some people, they like to talk and work. And so
Interact and-
you have to be aware of what you bring to the table that makes relationships difficult. And you have to manage that
Absolutely.
internally.
internally. So you have to reconcile your own growth areas and not focus on, oh, he need to do this and she need to do that. What do you need to do different? So I think the more you're aware of what you bring into relationships that make it difficult, the easier it is to make life more enjoyable.
So I have a question. So, you know, being in this field, dealing with couples, and I'm sure you've had that couple come in wanting some therapy, but you already knew you guys do not need to be together. How do you guys, you know, get them to understand that? Or do you just say, look, y'all don't need to be together? What do you do?
I think about one of the couples that we worked with just this past year, and you see it at the very beginning that they have challenges and they're huge. And what we try to do is give them solution based approaches to things and how to reconcile and how to fix it, because it can be repaired if they both think less of themselves and think more about what's at stake as far as the relationship, and say, you know what, there's just some things I got to change. But if they refuse to do that, we still don't tell them. We never give everybody advice of break up and go your separate ways or go get divorced or whatever, because we just tell them it's the work that you have to do individually. That we always tell couples, there is no relationship problems, there is no marriage problems, there are individual problems that you had that you brought into your relationship. And if you look at that from that perspective, to know that you're not perfect, you got some work that you need to do, and if you focus on that, all the other stuff will work itself out if you work what we're telling you to do, the solution.
And because our personalities are so different, I ask questions that make them question themselves.
Yeah, she does. She's more direct.
I make them see themselves and the other person the way that they are. And so to me, if I can show you what I see and it helps you to change, then we did what we're supposed to do.
Oh wow! So you know what's funny is I'm kind of like her when I'm dealing
Just
with
direct.
them. I am, and I have literally asked the question like, "Is this what y'all really want? Do y'all want each other? Like, because if we gonna keep going around and around in circles, then
Wasting time.
Yeah.
what do you want? Do you want this?
Yeah.
Do you want to do the work?
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
You know. But you guys, we're gonna take a quick break.
Okay.
All right, you guys are listening to Off the Script on Power 108.9. We'll be back. All right, y'all. We're back with Off the Script. You, of course, Sasha Mercedes Art, Sasha Johnson, with Renee and Gil Beavers, with Rich Relations Refuge. I got it together that time.
Yeah.
Got it together.
Yeah.
You guys, I think you guys, this whole conversation is so needed and it's so amazing what you guys are doing. And I just, as a single mother and been divorced now, 12 years.
Okay.
Well,
Yes, divorced 12 years and came from a really tough marriage. What do you guys say to people? Because I know you guys work with singles
Singles and
that want to be with someone.
Yeah.
What do you guys say to those people? What do y'all, how does that work?
one of the reasons why we started incorporating singles is because we realized that everyone starts off single. And so if we can help people in the single stage or divorce stage to rebuild their own sense of who they are and their own identity. When they go into the next relationship, they go into it with some insight from what they went through. And so the things that I always think about is, it's 3 questions. Who told you that? Who hurt you? And how do you make the people around you feel? So if we can get people to begin to answer those questions as single people, it kind of helps them to go into relationships knowing what they're looking for and what they want, because they know who they are. And so I think that whether you've been married or divorced, or if you're single, there's just some inner work that it helps for you to do. And if you can do it when it's one person, it's easier than when you wait until you get into a relationship with another person, because then you got to manage 2 people.
We started out even with the whole rich relationship refuge doing this with couples. Is we never intended to start out actually counseling anybody. We were just working on our own relationships, but people just kept coming to us asking us, oh, what are y'all doing, or wanting answers. And I think about it from the standpoint, as a single person, you're searching, you're looking, you're trying to establish some roles, not only in career and as a person of being single, but also what are you looking for if you want to be partnered in with somebody? What should I be working on? Absolutely. And just like we didn't have those examples like we talked about earlier of what should you be modeling yourself or your relationship like? And so we don't have all the answers, but we can say, you know what, we can give you a framework that this is what worked for us. Not saying that it's the solution for everyone, but at least something that you can go by and you can see and you can talk to us and listen to us and say, maybe I didn't see that the way I thought it should go. Maybe I changed my mind or my thought processes, because we have a history. All of us have history of where we came from and what we grew up from, and things that we may not be on the same page of the person that we're with, or even dating, or even while we're looking for. So if you have something that you can kind of model or follow after, if I could put it that way, at least it'll give you a good starting point.
Absolutely.
Because I used to always get asked by my clients, oh my gosh, you have such a great husband. So what did you do?
Not like that.
She did it.
What did you do? And how did you get him? And
They ask you like that?
oh yeah, all the time. I mean, I would get asked that a lot. And so I'm like, okay, Lord, how do I answer this question? And so first of all, it's because I'm amazing.
No.
And so I said, okay, what do you do? So I think that you need to think about everything you want in that person. I mean, height, weight, what they make, all those things. And then you need to become that list. Because so many times we're looking for and demanding what we're not.
Exactly.
And just you becoming who you want to be with would make you enjoy life better. And I don't think that singleness is not for everybody. And neither is marriage. Sometimes in that journey of discovering what you're looking for to be in a marriage, you may discover, I don't like being with people. I want to be by myself.
Exactly.
But you need to know that. Don't just get married because you think it's what you're supposed to do. And don't be single because you're not willing to do the work.
Absolutely.
Becoming who the other
best
person
version.
is looking for it's a lot of work. And being with another person and sharing your life with another person is the ultimate form of selflessness. It's not just about him meeting my needs. It's also about me meeting his needs and me putting his needs first. And I think sometimes we romanticize marriage as, oh, it's the answer to all of your problems. No, not if you're not ready to be selfless. Marriage is not for the selfish. And I think that if we are more honest with people, not just tell them the horror stories, oh, my husband was terrible, but you picked them.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
what are what, and sometimes our pickers are broke. Sometimes we don't know what we should look for. I think so. There's so many things to the single and the married life that's similar that we ignore, that we only focus on. Oh, if I was single, I would be doing this. I would be having fun. Or if I was married, I'd be doing this. But if you're not doing it now, you're probably not going to do it when you get married or if you were single.
So I've been kind of going around the world in my head whether I was going to ask this question, but I am going to ask it because I got to. Because you guys are in a monogamous marriage, of course. But it's become a thing. Polygamy is huge.
Yeah.
Now, it's a lot. I mean, I'm gonna self-disclose. I'm on a dating site, and I see married couples asking for a girlfriend all the time, and I'm like, swipe left.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
what do you guys think about that? Have you guys worked with any couples that's like that? What do y'all think about this?
You want me to answer?
You can start, and then I'll jump in. Because
Well,
I both got an idea.
She rolling her eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say I was born in 1967.
Okay.
So that shapes the way I view the world because our culture is totally different. So I'm speaking as a 55-year-old
African
black
American from
woman
Detroit.
because that's all I know how to be
From
the
Detroit.
D. From the D. There's a lot of things I will share. Milk and men are not one of them. If I am not enough for you, then I am not the one for you. And so I think that it goes back to, and people, of course, we want to debate everything. You got your beliefs, I got mine. If that works for you, then that's good. But I feel like one black woman is enough for any man. And if I don't feel the room for you, then I'm not the one.
Exactly.
And so everybody's just different. And so to me, I'm just saying that's just my view. But I couldn't be with two men because I feel like meeting his needs is a 24-hour, 365-day. To do that with two of them, I just don't know how you could do that.
And I think even from a societal standpoint, things are different. Like Renee was kind of talking about, where you can't let society decide for you what works for you. Because if you're just going to follow the trends or follow the way everybody else is going, you don't know where they're leading you. It's going to go against your own standards and your own beliefs and your own culture that you should have had established from the very beginning. If anything, you have to think about, how is this going to impact not only you, but the people that are surrounding me, my family, my friends, my coworkers. All those have an impact. Nobody's an island onto themselves. So just like Renee was describing, it's cultural and time frame where you were born and raised and how you see things, but you also kind of goes back to that same, what is my standard? What do I want for me and me alone? Because I'm not going to put my viewpoints and my lifestyles and things like that on you, and you can't do it to me. So you have to decide what's best for me as an individual.
Well, what's funny though, and it's funny when you said something about people arguing. I've seen the argument so much, and what I've been hearing a lot is they feel like monogamy is a European thing, and that and that from our background culturally,
Sure.
that we were more polygamy type culture, and men were able to take care. That's what they missed in that part. Men were able to take care of. Let me say it again for the people in the back.
You mean
men were able to take care
financially provide
their
resources
wives.
for.
And I think that's what they're missing, because they want 10 women, but you broke.
Right.
It's
No.
make it make sense.
It's so funny that you said that, because we were talking about, Renee and I were talking about, all the moves and things that we had. And I call it my tribe, my group, my family. It's not just Renee. It's my daughter. It's my sister-in-law. It's her 2 kids. And I said my viewpoint on that is I have to take care of my whole family. And that includes them as well. And if I can't do that, then either I need to work harder or I can't get rid of them. I got to take responsibility.
You lower
for
their
the
quality
thing.
of life.
So how can I rightfully want to expand that, to the point of I want more of that? Like you said, that's such a good point. And that's something that a lot of men have to think about. What can you take care of? If you can't take care of that thing, maybe you need to do some self-evaluation about what is it that I'm trying to really accomplish.
And not just meeting someone's physical needs.
Oh, listen.
Because people have financial needs, they have spiritual needs, they have emotional needs, and they need the gift of your presence.
But to be honest, the conversation can be even physically. They're not matching what they're trying to do. To be honest with you,
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I mean, I've had those private conversations, and I'm like, make it make sense. If you're not able to do it, then stop.
Right.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah. But I think, again, it goes back to the pride thing.
Yeah.
We are so afraid of what people are going to think about us failing. But just like everything has a pattern, success have a pattern, and so does failure. And so if you know that your pattern is producing the opposite of what you want, at some point you got to get off the ride. You got to do something different. And I think sometimes we're afraid to do that. We're afraid of what people are going to think.
Absolutely. So now I know we're getting slowly to the end. So I want you guys to tell everybody a little bit more about Rich Relations Refuge and what you guys have coming up, so that they can get involved, support, and all those things.
Yeah. I think for us, it's just amazing. We realize that Rich Relationship Refuge is just that. It's a refuge. It's a safe place for people to come. But we realize that because we are so private and prideful, that we figure we will go to where they are. Where are the people at? Well, guess what? They're on social media. They're on the internet. So why not go to them? And instead of waiting for them to come to us, let's take our content, let's take our presence to them. And so we have really launched out where Rich Relationship Refuge is available on the internet, as well as, like you said, doing couples. And we're going to do a getaway in April in Talladega.
Okay.
And so we're just trying to make ourselves available as possible, that people can have somebody they can talk and touch and know and like and walk alongside.
I love it. I love it. So is this gonna be like a retreat, or is
It's
it
a
gonna
getaway. It's an overnight getaway. This one is going to be just for couples, because we felt like sometimes some people do want to work with us face to face, and then some people just want to be online. And so we're going to take some couples away to Talladega and work with them overnight. We'll do interactive sessions as well as intimacy building exercises for them as a couple.
Now, how does someone sign up for that? And
Our website, Rich Relationship Refuge, everything is on they can go to our website.
are in any type of couples?
Well, this one is just going to be either engaged or married couples.
Okay.
Because we realize that the content is a little different when we're talking about intimacy
And
for singles versus sex and intimacy for couples. It's a little different. So we try to make sure that each group of people feels like they're with their own people.
Yeah, and this is a new venture that we're trying to do, because over the last, I would say, 2 or 3 years, everybody was in the pandemic, so it expanded to the point where we were doing couples overseas, and people were reaching out to us from there. And so we went online and we started working with all these couples all over the place. So, and we can't be everywhere, obviously, but they can find us online. And that was one way we were able to kind of meet the need of what people wanted and just put out the content there for them. So if they actually go to the richrelationshiprefuge.com, everything is there. It's no fees, no charge or anything. Now, when you want to work with us personally, then it's a little bit different. But we want to put this information out there because just like we never got the opportunity to get information when we were in our early stage of our relationship, when people say, oh, if you want to have a good relationship, you just got to work on it. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, this is the work that we're talking about, and we just want to share it with everyone.
Yeah. And our biggest thing we're really trying to is build our YouTube community, because that's a place where we know
everybody can see.
Our YouTube channel. That's something we're really working on, because it not only that allows us to monetize it without passing the cost on to
the individual
people who may need help and not have the money. And so our YouTube channel is Rich Relationship Refuge, and just liking and subscribing, helping us to get our watch hours, because we have over 90 podcast episodes and over probably 50 videos on there. So we've built it for a long time, but we didn't really understand the power of it.
And even with that, even we did seminars already that we've been at and spoke and taught and those things, and we put all that content out there for free. So you can even hear the teachings that we've already done. A lot of the things that we've been talking about here today is already out there, so you can consume it at your leisure, at your private activity or private time, to where you can say, you know what, I'm gonna work on me. And if you're working on you, or you can do it with your spouse, your significant other, your partner, whoever, to say, this is what we're gonna do. We at least gonna walk along this journey with Gil and Renee.
So I got one challenge before we end.
Okay.
I want each one of you guys to give a one inspirational line that you would give to people that's trying to have healthy relationships. And I'm just curious to see which direction y'all are going to go in, because you guys are different but similar. Mm-hmm. So Renee, go first.
I think, to me, the most important thing that I think as women we need to know is that we are enough. Mm-hmm. I didn't become valuable when I got married. Mm-hmm. I didn't become valuable when I had a child. I didn't become valuable when I had a certain amount of money in my account. I am more than enough, just me by myself. No makeup, no clothes, no nothing. I'm more than enough. And I think that's the root of what we need to know, is that you are more than enough all by yourself.
Absolutely.
And I say for men, just be knowing that I don't have all the answers, and I'm going to have to change some of the things that I think about, some of the views that I have, and some of the things that I want from myself, but also with my significant other, my partner, my wife. So you got to be willing to say, you know what, I got some things I need to work on. So work on yourself first.
Absolutely, I love it. Now, and one more time, the getaway. What dates are those?
It's April the 21st through the 20th to the 21st in
Okay.
Talladega, Alabama.
And all the information is on the website. They can check it out there. And if you want to come out and attend it, all the information is there. Come and hang out with us overnight.
Awesome. Well, you guys, y'all are amazing. I
Oh,
love
appreciate
what you're
you.
doing. Everybody out there watching, you need to make sure you go and follow them on Instagram as Rich Relationships
Refuge.
because they are really sharing some truth, not just sharing this happy relationship. They're
Yeah.
sharing
The work.
it all.
Yeah.
And I think it's really truly amazing.
Thank you.
And also remember, everybody, you have to have that self-love and work on your own inner happiness
Yes.
before you can try to, unionize with somebody else as far as marriage, and understand what you really truly want for yourself.
Yeah.
What does happiness mean for you? Real quick, you guys remember, follow them. And the website was?
Rich Relationships Refuge.
All right, guys. Now, y'all remember, y'all share, y'all follow Off the Script. Of course, we've shifted a little bit. Y'all send Nicole Crump some love and follow Power 108.9. But, of course, this has been amazing. Again, you're listening to Off the Script on Power 108.9. I love you guys. Y'all have an amazing week.